Good evening and welcome to My Point of View. I am your host, Lance Sani Banda, taking you through the thrilling 55 minutes of your wonderful time. Now, today, of course, moving from Sunday, coming back to Saturday, the time or the day that we are supposed to be in, talking about news of the week, where we get to review different news clips, different news items that happen during the week. We get to make sure that we also give you the platform to come through, be part of the show, be part of the program as you share with us your view, your sentiments, your comments, and also take part in good governance and take part in how you hope and wish to see stories happening. Immediately, of course, we kickstart the show and tell you to say be part of the program just right there and then. How do you become part of the program? Comment on our Facebook page or comment right from the platform that you are watching on. If you are on Facebook, it's Ubuntu Channel Zambia. If you are on Twitter, it's Ubuntu Channel Zambia. And not forgetting on YouTube, it's Ubuntu Channel Zambia. So of course, this evening um, to help me, of course, talk about different things that we have picked for you for the week, the events of the week. I have with me a very impactful youth. He goes by the name of Mputa Ngalande. So Mputa, good evening. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much for having me, Lancy, and good evening to the viewers.
All right. Thank you so much also for according us this time so that you can just come through and talk about the different happenings, the different issues that are taking place in the country. Now, to kickstart the show, of course, we get to talk about events that happened on Monday. So, quite a number of things happened on Monday, and of course, we can get to talk about everything that happened on Monday, but we get to pick the nitty gritties, which are juicy, and some things, or maybe stories that are worth talking about, stories that are worth discussing, because they are of human interest, they are of public interest. So we don't just get to pick each and every story, but we get to pick something which is of human interest because we want you to take part and maybe share a view, share a comment, and maybe just express a concern over the different issues. So, Bowman Lusambo, as we know, he's been appearing in court and also at the ACC, where time and again he gets summoned over the different issues or different things that he has been charged with by ACC. And of course, his case taken off in court. We saw last week where when he went to court to appear over the different counts that he was slapped with, he was arrested by ACC, or he was rearrested by ACC on other charges, which we saw the wife walking scot free, but only him was picked up. And when he was picked up, he issued many remarks or many comments talking about how there is hunger in the country and everything to do with that. But of course, that conduct was not to the liking of the police command. Of course, we saw the police command reprimanding officers that went to get Bowman Lusambo from the court's grounds. But let's get to look at this clip, and then on the other side, when we come through, we get our analyst, or we get the ball rolling as our analyst gets to dig deeper into the story and shares with us what his views are. But don't forget, you can also share the views. Let's get to look at this clip and then we'll be back on the other side.
Boman, we got a Boman. Oh, the moment that a Boman. Our Tafari Mqua Insala, everything Salo. Stop one.
All right, sorry for that. But on the material, and Lusambo was rearrested by or officers to say they conducted themselves unprofessionally because of the manner that they had let bombs and also making certain sentiments or making certain issues known right there. So the police command reprimanded these two officers and said that was a professional misconduct because apparently when a suspect is getting arrested, they are told to say they have the right to remain silent because whatever they may say or do can be used against them in the courts of law. But we did not see police officers doing that to Mr. Lusambo, offering that guidance to him. Mr. Mputa, is there anything more that we need to know about this issue, or was it okay for the officers to let Bowman continue talking about what he was talking about? And is the police command in order to reprimand those two officers if they had let Bowman to express himself, because he has a right to express himself?
Hello, can you get me?
Hmm. Okay, we seem to be having. All right. I think we seem to be having network challenges right there from our guest, and obviously we'll be able to get him back as maybe he gets to analyze the issue right there. Obviously, we would love to know, was it right for the police command to, reprimand the two police officers that were sent to go and arrest Bowman Lusambo by the ACC. Of course, we know that ACC do not have any police officers with them. So, in accordance with the law, they work together with the law enforcing agencies like the Zambia Police Service to go and carry out certain works. And of course, in this regard, we saw them accordingly arresting Bowman Lusambo, but of course, he was given a chance or a platform to express himself, but that did not sit right with the top police command, because they felt that it wasn't right and that was a professional misconduct. Obviously, we would love to also hear from you, or would love to get something from you. Get to tell us, get to share with us a view. Do you think it was right to let Bowman Lusambo continue talking about what he was talking about? And did the police really misconduct themselves? Was that professional misconduct? Obviously, let's get to hear that from you. But getting to move on, there's been a lot of talks, or there's been lots of things that have been happening in the country, especially getting to talk about the issues to do with debt, the issues to do with the economy. Many Zambians or many people complaining to say the economy is pretty bad or is really bad, and things are not in place as they are supposed to be, or things are not moving according to how they planned or according to what they assumed. So we've heard politically charged persons or politicians getting to talk about or to reprimand the government when they talk about the IMF deal, when they talk about the bail off plan to do with bailing off or bailing out Zambia out of this economic or quagmire, or out of this economic stress. So in the recent weeks, we have seen in the recent weeks we have seen we have seen so many statements coming through from different political organizations or political people, where the Minister of Finance is Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwane was answering to journalists when they asked to say, suffice that the IMF deal fails, does government have a plan B? And of course, we saw. All right, Mr. Mputa, good to have you back. Network isn't really our best ally.
Thank you for having me, Lancy. Yes, the network today is tripping, but I guess you can get me now.
Definitely, I can get you
Sure.
now, loud and clear. All right, I don't know if you would want us to go back to Bowman Lusambo in the police command happy. The police command not being happy with the police officers that went to arrest him, saying that was professional misconduct. Or maybe we can move on to the Minister of Finance.
Well, yeah. Basically, it is understood that the high command was not happy because every time you arrest, you get someone into custody, you need to read them their rights and tell them that anything they say can be used against them in the court of law. And I think that was not put clear. We saw Mr. Lusambo lamenting and saying a lot of things and shouting things that were not necessary. And the police did not remind Mr. Lusambo that he should not speak a lot. Yeah, so it is nice, and I would also love to see the police command also come out on different issues that the police have done with regards to misconduct. And I think another point is that Pamela has been missing. We have issue of Pamela being missing, and we have not seen any feedback from the police with regards to how far they have gone. So if and that is one of the issues with and if the police, every time they are going to give us answers or do punish people who are dealing with cases that are politically charged, then is the police there only to deal with politicians? Because the police is there also to make sure that there is safety in the country, and nothing has been done, and the investigative wings that for example the cited case of Pamela, they have done nothing, and they are quiet. Has the police told those that are on that case, telling them and reprimanding them so that they do their job as time is moving? So those are some of the issues I feel also the police that should come out and make sure that someone is punished in that regard.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngalande, for that. Let's get to see if we can bring in Jerome. Jerome, hi. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm finding you, Lance.
Okay. So police reprimand officers who went to arrest Bowman Lusambo for professional misconduct. I don't know. What's your take or what's your comment? Jerome, are you there? All right. We still seem to be having network challenges right there, but try as much as possible to come through and be part of the program. Jonathan, thank you so much. Good to know that you are watching and you are saying there was everything wrong with what happened at the arrest of Bowman. In the first place, he wasn't supposed to be allowed to issue any statement, as at the time he was under the custody of the government. As such, his freedom of expression was temporarily suspended. Jonathan, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate, and good to know that you are watching this particular broadcast. So you can do the same. Make sure that you just send in your comment and we'll be able to read it loud and clear. If not your comment, of course, come through. We have provided for you the studio link. We are inviting you to join us live in the studio and share with us your sentiments, share with us your comment. Amanda, good to know that you are watching this particular broadcast all the way from Charleston. Thank you so much. All right, so getting to move on to the other story. We seem to have, okay, Jerome is gone again. But anyway, moving on to another story. Jerome, maybe quickly make your remarks as we are going to the next story. Well, okay, let's quickly get to move to the next story. Now, like I said, weeks past, we have seen debates on if Zambia has got Plan B if the IMF bailout package fails. Of course, we've seen the World Bank coming through and providing us with a certain amount, but which they have given in one of the requirements is to say that we have to go ahead with the IMF. So if IMF approves that package which we are seeking for, then the World Bank will also give us the part of the money that they have pledged for us to continue with the developmental agenda. So obviously to pump into the economy so that the economy of Zambia may be back onto its running wheels. Now, Minister Situmbeko Msogotwane said there is no plan B, as he is very confident that the IMF is going to give us the money, or the IMF deal is on track. Let's get to look at this clip, and then we get to get your comments on the other side.
Minister of Finance and National Planning has announced that the IMF deal will be concluded by June this year, 2022. The contentious IMF deal, which has induced widespread debates in the country, has been described by the minister as the only solution to Zambia's debt restructuring. Dr. Msogotwane, who recently held high-level spring meetings in the US, says IMF is in full support of restructuring and strongly supports Zambia.
We had very fruitful meetings at various levels, culminating in the meeting that we had with the president of the bank himself. There was lots of support of the economic reform agenda that Zambia is pursuing. lots of support in terms of the reform, which is reform in the revenues, expenditure rationalization, and of course, our emphasis on the point that going forward, we are going to focus a lot on seeing to it that the economy of Zambia begins to grow.
Dr. Msokotwani says government will ensure that the internal processes are consistent with the reforms and will continue in commercial borrowing and use funds prudent. Meanwhile, the minister has also announced that the 2023 budget will be presented in September, earlier than the usual period. Minister of Finance has also announced that stakeholders can make submissions of proposals about value-added tax, income tax, and other forms of taxes.
We expect that IMF program to be concluded, and the institutions that I've been referring to so far, the World Bank, the IMF, they are of course also geared to do whatever is possible to ensure that their internal processes deliver this program by the end of June this year.
The minister has also assured the nation that Zambia is on the right track. Teresa Kalenga reporting for CBC News in Lusaka.
All right, so Finance Minister right there assuring Zambians that Zambia is on the right track. That obviously so many announcements made, or so many announcements have been made right there pertaining, you know, the introduction of the budget, 2023 budget, when announcements are going to be made, and different issues to do with that, or many issues as they go with that. So in that, maybe questions that would be asked is to say, is Zambia really on the right path? Because it seems like the economy doesn't look to be coming down. Well, quite all right. We appreciate the fact that as much we appreciate the fact that inflation rate has dropped down. The exchange rate, the kwacha is favorably trading against the United States dollars, of which we know that this is a good thing that is out there. But is the economy really coming down? Is the economy on the right path? How are we on the right path if things are getting higher? Obviously, the new report from the Jesuit Center of Theological Reflections, we are talking about per household or per family of 5 in Lusaka, they have to survive at a monthly food basket of 9,611 kwacha. Then how is the economy? Well, when we have people that you know, are maybe getting below 3,500, and monthly budget of food is supposed to be at 9,000. So it really leaves a lot to be desired, or it really leaves much to be desired, and one would want to really ask, how is the economy on track? Jerome, good to have you back. Do you have a quick comment or a submission that you want to make on this particular story?
Yes, Lance. So my comment over the issue is that one, the way the new government or the new Dawn government is taking the issue of the economy, for me, I think they're in the right direction. Why? Because some of the fundamentals of the economy, some of the indicators of the economy are looking bright. One of them is the inflation rate. The inflation rate is coming down. Now, people are saying the inflation rate is coming down, but the things, or the goods and services, the price of the goods and services keep on increasing. Now, the best way to define inflation is the rate at which the prices of the goods and services are going high or they are increasing. So if we're saying the inflation rate is reducing, we're saying the rate at which the prices are increasing has reduced. So um, if the prices and services were increasing at 20% from where the new don got the government, they found the inflation at 20%. So the prices were increasing at 20%, but now it has reduced. It is from last month's uh, records, they gave us that the inflation has reduced to 11.5. So the goods and services are increasing at 11% each as at the last update which you got from the Office of the Statistics. Then the other thing that the minister said was that there is no other alternative from the IMF deal. What it means is like you have gone out to someone, you're asking for help. There's no way you can tell the person that you're asking for help from and tell, if you don't give me this help, actually I've got a plan B. I can go to this person and get it and get the help. You can't do that. So you need to show confidence to the person and say, boy, this help, this need, this situation which I'm in, you are the only one that you are that I'm depending on, in short. But meanwhile, deep down in your heart, you know that once this person is not helping me, I've got this plan B which I can take. You can't go to IMF and tell them we've got this other option. So the minister can't come out clearly in the open and say we've got another option if the IMF deal fails. That's my contribution.
All right, all right, Jerome. Thank you so much for your contribution, and looking forward to having you contribute on the other stories that we are having this particular evening. Mr. Ngalande, welcome back. Um, Obviously, I would also love to get your comment on the minister's remarks to say Zambia economically is really on the right path. Looking at how high things are getting, and of course, looking at how everything is going, do you think we are on the right path economically?
For me, thank you very much, Lancy. For me, I feel and believe the trajectory that we're taking as a country is not the right trajectory, and we've been on this route before. So, at what cost are we getting this IMF deal? Is the biggest question that we must ask ourselves. And for me, coming anyone, for me, what I feel, we must get rid of the myth of saying that is IMF is our only option. It is not our only option. And why I say so is that we have a huge loopholes in terms of correcting tax. In this current budget, we gave tax deductibles to mines, multinational corporations. These are companies that have rooted our country for a long time. The working civil servants were not given any tax deductible, but we gave the mine from 35% to 30%. Now, just the 5%, that 5% reduction that they gave the mines is a huge gap, and those are huge taxes that the government is losing. So for me, I feel yes, inflation is working, but at what cost does the IMF come? And this is not the first time. When the first time, let's learn from history. We must, as well as a country, learn from history. Now, if you are going to show me one country where the IMF deal has worked and the IMF has gone and a poor citizen has benefited from the IMF going into that country, I'll be here to listen. As far as I am concerned, and as far as I've read with regards with the countries that have had dealings with the IMF, is that with regards to Africa, to the context of Africa, is that there is nothing that is good. Right now, Ukraine is at war, and they have given monies for free to Ukraine. Why are they doing that? Maybe because it is a country in Europe, but because it is a country in Africa, they want to give us conditions that are very, very, very disadvantaging. If what I'm saying is not right, then we should be able to see the the conditionalities that are in that agreement. When we ask the government about telling us what is in that deal, they are refusing and saying no, the contract does not allow us to do. Why do you want to take this country to a marriage that the conditions are secretive? You can't get married. You can't go into a partnership, into a deal. They claim that they are borrowing for this money that we're getting. The government is not getting on their behalf. No, they are getting on behalf of the Zambian people. And the time they are going to give the Zambian people what conditionalities are in that deal, then that's when we are going to trust that what is being done is all to the betterment of this country. So IMF, wherever they go with the conditions that leave the poor struggling, and those that are doing better continue doing better, like what I've seen with policies and other incentives that the mines have been given, that these multinational corporations have been given in the 2022 budget. And going the IMF way, it is just a matter of time. And we have experienced the removal of subsidies. The removal of subsidies on electricity is coming, and the poor majority Zambians that need a break, Zambians that benefit a lot from subsidies are the people that are going to suffer, and there is nothing. And when you talk about we must tighten our belts, we should be able to see as a father at home, if you say we will not have lunch, you might be as well sure that you are not having lunch as a father. Those that are in government are getting allowances for driving, for fuel, and if they get a 1.5, so they have a 1.5 to save because the government buys fuel for them for 1.5. And a Zambian citizen, a common marketeer, does not have that. The government is not subsidizing fuel, and
Okay.
they do not have chance for them to survive. Thank you very much.
Okay, hold your thought there, because I would love to engage you more on this issue. But before I do that, let's get to see if we can accommodate Joseph. Joseph, good evening. Welcome. Joseph, hi. Good evening.
Lance, can you get me?
Yes, I can get you now.
Oh, yes, perfect. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You have to forgive me. The network is not it's quite bad. Can I just go back to the issue of Bowman or something?
Yes, please. You have 90 seconds to tackle both Bowman Lusambo and
Oh,
need arises
okay.
to
Thank you.
also tackle the
What transpired at the courts of law was very unfortunate, and for me, I think it's the first of its kind, where you have a person who is under the custody of the government. To be specific, the suspect was being arrested uttering such an demeaning the law enforcement officers. It was very unfortunate event, which in the first place should not have happened, and the police were not supposed to have allowed it, because I believe that when one is arrested, they are asked not to say anything until they are presented or brought before the courts of law. And anything that Bowman Musambo uttered or issued could have been used against him. But the police allowed to reasons best known to themselves, or I don't know what happened to them, or him being an MP. But what happened was very unfortunate and should not have been allowed to happen. So there was unprofessional misconduct on their part. Mm. I don't know. Do
Okay.
I still have time?
Can I? No, you don't. But let me give you 30 seconds to comment on the IMF deal.
Okay. Thank you. So the police command is right when they issued that statement to say there was professional misconduct on their part, because anyone who has been arrested, even our current head of state, at the time that he was arrested, was never allowed to issue any statement. Wonder why they had to allow a person like him to issue statements. In fact, those were insults that were being held at the police, which was very unfortunate. And I think it leaves much to be desired and it raises a lot of questions.
Well, Chipindani, I don't think
Thank you.
Bowman is the first politician. Before you go, I don't think Bowman is the first politician,
Yes.
to be arrested and late to talk to the press or talk to the sympathizers or people that are around. I think we have seen this trend happening even in the past regime, where somebody is arrested, but they still talk, they still have a chance or the guts to talk to the people. So, what makes Bowman's case a special case that police, those two police officers have to be reprimanded?
Well, yes, there might have been others who've been arrested before, but in the case of Bowman Osambo, it's the impunity with which he did it, the insults. You know, there are people who've issued statements based on their uh, specific case of arrest. But with Bowman Osambo, he practically ridiculed the people that were uh, given charge of his arrest, people that were in charge of him. So one would wonder as to why they allowed him to make all those comments. You understand? So, in as much as others have issued statements before who've been arrested, the case of Bowman Osambo just leaves much to be desired, and a lot of people were wondering. You see, wondering to say, where are these
Joseph,
people getting? Where is he getting this
your
audacity?
time is up. Okay, your time is up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
All right, so thank you. Let's get to
all
move
right.
on to the next item on the agenda, and of course, get into things that really puzzle a lot of people. We have seen politicians, or people that embezzled or stole from the nation going out in the community, stole, they go scot free. They're not made accountable to what they stole. But for people that do not have any political inclination, people that do not have somebody to talk for them, or somebody to at least say, oh, largely connected to the political party. So they get charged for little offenses. Now, this is a case of a father of 16 who got jailed for stealing cattle. Let's get to look at this clip, and then on the other side we have Mr. Ngalande to give a deep analysis on it.
The Choma Magistrate Court has sentenced a father over 16 children to 5 years imprisonment with hard labor for stealing 6 cows. This is in a case where Fidelis Mizinga, aged 43, of Namwala district, stood charged with 1 count of stock theft, contrary to the laws of Zambia. While according to the particulars of the offense on unknown date, but between the 31st of January and 1st February, while working together with Fines Mubaba, the accused person did steal 6 heads of cattle valued at 38,000 kwacha, property of Dennis Mulaha. When called to take plea by State Prosecutor Dexter Kwalela before Principal Resident Magistrate Ida Mopemo, the accused person willfully pleaded guilty to the offense. He further disclosed to the court that he stole the said animals from the accused person's house at night, and according to the brief facts of the matter, on the material day, the complainant in the matter secured his animals before resting to bed. The complainant was however woken up by his son, who informed him that 6 animals were missing in the morning, compelling them to go on a search, which led to a recovery of 3 animals that were hidden in a bush, and investigations in the matter led to the arrest of the accused person, who admitted stealing the said animals. Upon his plea of guilty and confirmation of the statement of facts to be true and correct, the court has since found the accused person guilty of the offense charged. In his mitigation, the accused person informed the court that he is married to 2 wives and has 16 children with 5 dependents who he fears would suffer if he is sent to prison. After considering the accused person's mitigation and the fact that he is a first offender, the court has however informed the accused person that the offense he stands charged has a minimum mandatory sentence of 5 years. The court has further proceeded to sentence the accused person to 5 years imprisonment with hard labor with effect from the date of arrest. For Voice 24 News in Joma.
People have stolen huge sums of money in the name of politics, in the name of political inclination. We have seen our economy getting drained. We have seen the treasury getting looted, all in the name of politics, or in the name of I belong to this political party. And up to now, they still go unpunished. We have not seen people getting arrested or people paying for what they committed. But here is a very simple person in society, because of hunger, it took him to steal him a number of cattle so that he can feed his family. It is a wrong which we cannot justify, but people that steal in the name of politics, they still go scot-free. Sentenced 5 years with hard labor with hard labor. What a harsh word it can be, or what a harsh sentence it can be. What happens to those that steal politically? Mr. Ngalande, I would love to hear your genuine complaint, your genuine comment rather, on this matter or on this issue, because it really leaves much to be desired. 5 years of hard labor for stealing cattle, which he was trying to feed with his family. As much as it is wrong, but he's slapped with 5 years. We have seen people loot the national coffers. They walk free in the national side.
Well, it is unfortunate, and I must make mention that everyone that steals must be able to be punished, and the judge was in the right place to with regards to giving someone a punishment because of getting someone's a property without permission, which is very wrong. And so basically, there's a phrase that everyone likes to use of saying no one is above the law, which is a blue lie. there are people that are above the law, and we have seen a lot of people that are above the law. For example, there is an incident that happened in Ecuador. A politician chopped off someone's head, and we saw that particular politician get a sentence that you'd wonder if what kind of justice is that, and I hear this person is out now, which is and someone who has stolen a cow would be given a, a sentence that you'd wonder that maybe they would have used leniency on them. So basically, what I must make mention is that there is no that the phrase of saying no one is above the law does not exist, and there are people in this country, unfortunately, that are above the law, mostly they are politically connected, and if they have connections, they're above the law, which should not be the case, and because it is the case, we have seen a lot of them that steal with impunity, and when time comes for them to pay for what they stole from the public, even us as the public start standing in their favor and saying this person got rich because they was hardworking. No, I don't believe in that, and I should as well say if someone, if Mr. Lancy today you get rich, you must be able to explain on how you got rich. Even in America, elsewhere in the world, you must be able to explain, and you must give an account to how you acquired what you acquired, and you must be able to show that these are legal means that you used for you to acquire what you acquired. In a case where you fail to show that you have acquired this in a proper manner, in a legal manner, then you should be able to be probed and charged. And that is the case with a lot of politicians that are being taken. But what is very sudden is that some people can only answer to the wrongs that they have done if they are out of power. When they are in power, they cannot answer to anything. And that is a huge gap in our legal system. The separation of powers in our legal system does not exist. There are people that the executive arm of government has too much power to influence all these other arms, and that is the challenge that we find ourselves in. I look forward to a day when the president will not appoint judges, the president will not appoint the inspector general of police, and the inspector general of police will operate and be appointed by some means of public appointment. That way, then even the police inspector general can command and send police against the ruling party, but it is not fashionable. It is not fashionable for it is fashionable for a police to send the inspector general to send police to ruling party cadres, and if we should not leave our legal means or our separation of our procedures of legal means to the mercy of someone who is in office. For example, if we have a president in office that would want that would control the police not to go against cadres, then we'll see cadres do a lot of things like we saw in the previous regime. So leaving our bodies that are supposed to bring law and order at the mercy of a politician, it is very dangerous. We might have a wrong politician at that particular time, but will send different that will send police against citizens that they're supposed to protect. So we must leave that particular position very independent and with the law, and maybe we will have a separation of powers.
Okay, maybe before we go to the other story, would it be like you are saying, maybe if the Inspector General of Police was appointed, or maybe not appointed by the executive, which is the president, maybe there would be sanity in the police service commission or Zambia police.
I'm having difficulties hearing you, comrade.
Okay.
Can you rephrase the question
I
again?
am saying definitely. So my question is to deal with would it be prudent that the IG, instead of getting appointed by the president, maybe it should be, let's say, like the way they do with the Speaker of the National Assembly? We have the opposition maybe nominate one person and the ruling nominate one, and then maybe we have Parliament to get to vote on who should be the IG by one-third majority. Would that bring sanity in the service?
Well, with regards to how the speaker is appointed, that is again problematic, where you find that at that particular time the ruling party has numbers in the house, and because they have numbers in parliament, there will be whatever if the president nominates, then or that particular political party nominates a candidate, and that candidate will go because they have numbers in the house. Maybe we can go the South African way, where this critical position like ACC, Inspector General, and Drug Enforcement Commission, we have a commission, we have a body that sits where political party leaders sit there, civil society leaders sit there, and it is a committee where even interviews are watched on TV, where if you want to be Inspector General, you go for interviews, and the interviews are live on TV, the proceedings are live on TV, and when the committee arrives at a decision, it is even live on TV, and the public is able to follow. Even judges are also appointed by they are brought by maybe the president nominates, the judicial commission reviews, and then goes to parliament. But if they have numbers, then the judge will go. If that judge is compromised and he has allegiance to the party, then he becomes a judge, or she becomes a judge, it becomes dangerous again. But if we are going to have a scenario that I've explained, of that process of having a committee with different stakeholders sit on that committee and push for and interview that particular judge, and when that judge is given, he does not pay allegiance. Mr. Lance, if I point you to a position, you will,
because I am the one that appointed you, and so these people are, the Inspector General of Police is actually compromised with regards, because it is the appointing authority, and it is very difficult in this country. You cannot summon the president to go, and the Anti-Corruption Commission cannot summon the president to go and answer on charges of corruption. But we saw it in South Africa, where even the president was made to resign, and the court found him guilty, because they are independent and there's separation of powers, and that is what our system lacks. Until we reach that space, and the person that is going to spearhead that we reach that spheres, he will be regarded as a legend, like the way they regard Washington in America, of giving them a constitution that has stood the test of time. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Let's get to cruise, as the time is not really our. Perhaps we can, move to the next story. Now, earlier this year, or let me say the first quarter of this year, the country witnessed quite a number of suicides committed by the young youths, the young people, and also people of different social status. And this was obviously attributed to mental health, and many people were talking about maybe let's make mental health awareness as a mandate, so that at least each and every person or people can take part in talking about this thing or addressing this issue. Now, just this week on Wednesday, unfortunately, a student killed or committed suicide because of the many pressures of life that he had, and one of them was Mkongol or Nkania Borough. Let's get to look at this. All right. We seem to be having a challenge there. But however, Mr. Mputa, a student or a graduate, earlier this week committed suicide because he was running a business yakuta akakombola kangani 3 pin kuli mwerero. In the next 1 month, he should be able to return at least a 6 pin. According to him, that was a lucrative business which he was running, not until when it hit its low to an extent that he had in Congole of over 10,000 kwacha. And the solution that he had was killing himself. What is the best solution of handling or dealing with mental health?
Well, it's unfortunate that such a young life, a brilliant life was lost, and for me, I've even those that know me personally know that there's just something that I do not like is in Congole and borrowing. Borrowing, the famous saying of saying you rob yourself from you rob yourself from the future. So basically, I think it was unfortunate, and it is bad that a life was lost. And to a lot of people out there, please, let's avoid credit. Let's avoid borrowing money by any means necessary. Sometimes we might find ourselves in a situation where we require, but sometimes the thing that we look at as something that we cannot solve if we do not borrow is maybe probably just that we are feeling the pressure at that particular time. But if we breathe, calm down, you find that we can move forward with that challenge and begin to solve it in a rational manner. And like borrowing, I think borrowing does not work at any point. And I must make I mention more especially in this country where the rate of borrowing is very high. So it is sudden, and I'm sorry, condolences to the family that lost that particular young man. And with regards to mental health, I think it depends, and mental health is a challenge that is generational at some point, where it runs in the family. So we must be able to understand our lineage in the family and what issues we have suffered. And I think it is an African. A lot of us do not go to therapy, and I think it is one thing that we must introduce in our culture as well, to talk about issues and go to a therapist more often. I think these are also that the services that the Ministry of Health should look at, because you can find a counselor for HIV is found everywhere, but you cannot find a counselor and with the fees and some fees I've checked out for therapy, this country is very expensive. I think the government should as well employ a lot of therapists at every hospital, clinic, so that we get young people going there and everyone that is depressed. Thank you.
All right. Let's get to see if we can accommodate Mokelewai on the program, and also let's get to read messages that have come through, and also get our people involved that are coming through right here. Let's get to see if we can bring in Mokelewai. If not, let's bring him back in and perhaps get to Mokelewai. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you? Sorry, I just popped in, and I don't know what's the. I just just found you guys on the middle of the program. Just fill me in.
No. All right. So today the topic or the clips that we are looking at first of all the police command reprimanding those two police officers that went to arrest Bowman Lusambo at the court grounds, saying they conducted themselves unprofessionally by letting Bowman Lusambo to make those comments, which he did. And then the second story that we looked at was the Minister of Finance assuring Zambians that the economy is on the right path. And of course, we also got to look at a father of 16 children getting jailed for stealing cattle. He went in for 5 years with hard labor, when we have seen political thieves, I would love to call them like that, walking the streets very free. And then when you came in, obviously we were talking about a graduate who committed suicide because of Kongole.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's amazing. Well, you know, in Zambia, there's always something that we always have to talk about, but let me talk about what happened with Lusambo. Those police officers, yes, they actually were so kind to allow him to rant on whatever way he wanted and disrespected them. And I just hope that it went to show, that goes to show that the current police are people that are really respecting any person that is charged or that they arrest. They don't want to be brutal, because if they want, they can be brutal. And they know what the consequences of being brutal, what it can bring to the police fraternity. So they are trying to be to be within the law. Yes, if they were arresting him, Lusambo that very day ought to have been handicapped to show that he was being arrested, not where he was the one now giving actually instructions to police to say, come and sit over here. To me, I felt that they were it's like they were a little bit scared of handling him. Otherwise, it goes to show that the police also have become they're paying so much attention to when it comes to human rights. They didn't want to violate his rights. And because these are crybabies, had they put a hand on him or do something today, they would have taken it to the media, cry like they are busy crying of being persecuted when they are actually being treated like they are not even suspects. So that goes to show that this government is really doing something positive, following the rule of law, and they are actually doing exactly what they promised the Zambian people to do. So I'm so happy that we are not turning our police officers into monsters. If anything, they are observing the law. Anybody can be a suspect. So, and it has to be respected no matter which political party they belong to. So otherwise, to me, the police, Wakajova, is doing a very good job with his men. But I would also urge Wakajova to say, do not entertain people that are going to abuse our men in uniforms. And when they are being abused, I would suggest that officers should take a stance. Anyone that abuses you, you know how you were trained in that Lilai or even Sondela or Kamfinsa. You know the drills. You cannot be taken advantage of. You need to act appropriately and show that you are in control. You are the officer in a uniform, and people has to respect that, no matter what political party they belong to. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bomo Kelebai, for that contribution. Let's get see if we can bring in Imba, and also so that she may bring in her contribution. If not so, obviously we get to move to the last story of this evening's broadcast, as time is not really our best ally. So the last story, obviously what is trending, is the issue to do with the youths or people complaining about the youths. Now, earlier this year, or earlier this week, we saw President Hakainde Hichilema appointing ambassadors to different countries, of which we saw Stephen Katuka appointed as an ambassador, and also not forgetting First Republican President's son, Panji, also getting the ambassador role as an ambassador to Malawi. Now that came through with so many things, an uproar, and many youths or many stakeholders came through to complain, and one of them was Operation Young Vote Executive Director, talking about Case Nyirenda. Now this one, we won't look at the clip as we are trying to dash with time. Mputa, this government, when coming into power or when campaigning to come into power, they promised the youths employment. And then so far, especially this issue to do with appointments, so far we have seen much of the elderly getting employment or getting appointments, and sentiments that have come through from the ruling party is to say that bafuna bantu bali na at least those that are mature, those that have at least an experience or experience of some sorts. Young people or the youths mulibe experiencing, you are too childish and you can't run these senior appointments or senior positions. Let's talk about these appointments.
Well, for me, it is disappointing with regards to saying young people do not have experience. It is only when young people want to participate that we talk about experience. And this notion that we have in these countries that political office or is for those that have retired, those that have served in the civil service, those that want now to they want to go on a vacation, you give them a political office, which is very wrong. No wonder we have a lot of people that just go there to steal because they do not have any ideas, new ideas, because they served this country already. And because they are old, you see them borrowing recklessly because they know that by the time these loans will be due or this money will be needed to be paid back, they will not be alive even for you to persecute and ask them why they borrowed. And we have seen a lot of them, and they just leave their family because in Africa respect and say no, respect the dead man's family, will not even probe and ask how that wealth was gotten if that person goes. And that is one that has kept us that has made these old folks going to stealing. So for me, it's disappointed with the appointment so far, and this young person has been looked at, and these are young people that woke up early in the morning as early as 0 and vote for this government in power. And that is one thing that I have always thought that for us comrades is let's form cooperatives, and that is what that is our area, and that is what they have encouraged us. But appointment here there is no, and that is sad. So I hope as moving forward as young people, we unite and move forward and get ourselves into these spaces without waiting for to appoint us. And as we move forward as well, if we want development for this country, for those that are leading us, is that let's also involve young people in this leadership as we move forward, because it is not progressive to have a youth, you call them a youth chairperson, national youth chairperson in a political party who is 52, and you call that person a youth. Then the constitution says someone below 35 is a youth, and for me it's just heartbreaking when you go to these political parties and people that are shouting, he's a youth. They are 45, they are 50, and they are shouting. They even have white hair, they have even grandchildren at home, and they are saying it's a youth, nice empowerment and whatever. And I'm like, I'm
Well,
oh,
Ngalande,
my heart.
unfortunately,
Breaks my heart.
time
Hope
is not our
I'll
best
break
ally.
this. Yeah. I hope
Unfortunately, time is not our best ally. We really have to go. Really appreciate, though we had a tough time with internet. Hoping that when we get to bring you back, it will be all through and through without internet connection. But this is where we have to end tonight's edition of the program. Thank you so much to you, Mr. Ngalande. Thank you so much to everybody that came through, and thank you so much to everybody that had time or managed to watch this evening's broadcast. I've been your host, Lance Sanibanda. Good evening, take care, and have the rest of the weekend a blessed one.
Ubuntu means humbleness. Ubuntu means humility. Ubuntu means love.